Welcome back to the Cosasverdes Crypto Show. Today's video is going to cover why what you're seeing on my screen right now might be the best one single way. If you could only look at Bitcoin price one way, this might be the absolute best way to view price. We'll cover why that is in this video, and also we're going to cover today how well I did my last video, which the thumbnail was 40K, even though I've been pretty bearish recently, but it said 40K on it, and I gave the case on why Bitcoin price might expand monodirectionally as opposed to going violently up and down. It could be a monodirectional expansion after nearly 200 days of sideways, and why 40K or close to 40K would be the target. And we're going to zoom into that line right here, this white line at 29,100. That was the basis of that comment in the last video, and we're going to zoom in to see, was that really where the magic happened? So stay tuned, let's get going. Wow. Now I'm in the bottom right. You can see price on my screen all the way back from September 2022, the 15.5 low in November of 2022. And so we're looking at just over a year of price history. Returning viewers, new viewers, you don't need to hit the bell or like or anything like that right now, but I want you to decide whether you like what you see. But returning viewers, is the time. Go ahead and do your duties to help out your content creator so I can maybe continue making more frequent videos for you. However, it is very common, even on the 1 minute time frame. So I'm on the daily chart. We're seeing over a year of price history. When you're on the 5 minute time frame and you can only see about 4 to 8 hours of price history on your screen, price makes the same shape, the same types of channels, it falls out and gets rejected or jumps back in a lot. This exact scenario on a micro scale. So hopefully new viewers can envision what I'm saying here. This exact shape, if I can take off all the blue stuff that I just drew over it, this exact thing, what you're saying, near almost exact general shape, if I may use an oxymoronic phrase, exact and general, this exact general shape, this shape happens all the time when you're zooming in on the 1 minute time frame. And the results are almost the same regardless of the time frame. It just takes months and months and months to, fill out a yellow triangle. So from the time it fell in, and we're looking at 69 days exactly. Go figure. All right, it's almost like it was meant to be here. And the way this works is as follows. If you have on a certain time frame, doesn't have to be the daily, but right now we're on the daily. If you fill out an ascending channel, which I draw, on the Cosasverdes channel, I have the sexiest charts in all of crypto, new viewers, in case you weren't aware of this. So you'll see very clear and concise analysis that makes sense to you all the time on my channel, hopefully all the time on my channel. When you rise in an ascending channel, fall out of it, you look left, and that first area of obvious support. So you have a strong low and a high that are on the same level. Therefore, when you fall out of it, that go down a little bit, look left for the most prominent support and resistance areas, hopefully in the same exact area, and that's where price goes. And that's what exactly happened here. But since it all happened on one day and it hit the target in one day, I wasn't able to say, hey, this is where it's going. It's like, okay, this is where it's stopping. Type it. It usually doesn't go that fast. It was a pretty serious dump. And now it is very common to come up to the exact top of the triangle. And I think I'm going to pull up another crypto that's done this recently and then broke down from here. And I'll show you the exact almost the same chart on a different crypto where it does the same thing and then goes down. All right, but there are multiple options of what happens after you hit the bottom of the yellow triangle. You can go sideways often and then continue breaking down. That is one option. But Bitcoin had the support of the weekly 200 EMA right here. I don't know why my other music program is pausing and stopping like that. That's one. You fall out of the yellow triangle after trying to use it as support. Second one is you float around into it, then fall out. Another one is you come up, get all the way rejected, and then fall out. So lots of ways to fall out. Or you could come up and go all the way up, and if you break back into it, all right, usually the point of control is hit, which means the middle of that ascending channel. So, and Bitcoin right now is trying, and actually on the micro time frames, it's back in, by the way. So any community members, if you happen to see this and you haven't seen any daily update since the previous one where I said, this is the line to look at. If it gets back in here, then up is probably the direction. Well, it's back in there right now. If you happen to be seeing the YouTube video before you look at any community daily updates. So right now, it is a question mark of what happens. Because I've seen this so many times. Like, I already know all the possible options of what could happen. I just don't know which one it'll be. Does that make sense? And hopefully that's valuable. I'm not going to guess. It's going to the middle here. No, as of now, because it did not fall down from here, it did not already get rejected then fall down, or it didn't like wiggle around in here and already fall out of the yellow triangle. There are two general options. It ends up getting rejected from here and comes back down, which it has not happened yet, but that is one of the two major options. Or it gets on the micro time frames, you zoom into here, which we will in a second, and it keeps floating up here and then does another pop up. If not one, then two pops up to get closer, actually perhaps above 40K. And if it stays in here, the longer it rides back inside of the ascending triangle, but at the very bottom, riding on top of that line, like surfing up, essentially, like taking an escalator or something. The longer it goes sideways inside of here, you see this point of control? Well, if it rides this for a while, that's still the target. And what is happening to this target? It's rising. So the longer it takes, the higher it's going to go. Now let's zoom in to this line. And I'll make myself small for this part. We're going to zoom into the 5-minute chart. It hasn't proven support beautifully yet. You actually have some beautiful, perfect resistances. 1, 2, 3. And it's been playing with this line since Monday evening, New York time. Another resistance point. So you have 4 really good resistance points. And I'll delete those on the same line. And you have 1 good support, 2 good support, 3 good supports. So it's about equal. So the war is equal right now. If there are bulls and bears fighting on this line, it's close to a tie. But I honestly think the bulls are winning because of one little idea. Is if you can maintain higher lows in a triangle type shape during a move, even in light of incoming resistance, if you can maintain higher lows on a micro time frame like the 5-minute, which all of this is, you're more likely to go up. It looks like it's going to go up again for now. But if these higher lows begin being broken, which, I mean, if it just even takes a $200 move down, it'll be broken. No, yeah, a $200 move down will break that trend that it's maintained for quite a while. Since this morning at 3 a.m. And so it took once, and it broke down, and twice. And so community members and new viewers, I'm not going to get in deep into this because the video will be 2 hours long. But remember, if you're facing resistance on the 5-minute time frame, you have 2 attempts, right? But you just can't take out the punch low, the original low it made when it punched through. And so see, once, and then did not take out the punch low, maintain higher lows. So this is the last try it gets on the micro time frames to get above and stay above here. So if it does break down, then it'll probably have to reach lower, then try again. Not too much lower, not thousands of dollars lower, but on the 5-minute chart, it'll be exceptionally probable to take out the original punch low here at about 33, actually at 33333, roughly. Quintuplet threes, 33,333. That low would be taken out, and that would be your target. But I don't think I would short for a long type of move. It would probably recover and try again, at least for a higher or a lower high, an aggressive lower high. But until that happens, micro time frames are exceptionally likely to go up. And the next small target, not the eventual target, is closer to 37K. That is the 1/4 line. So this is the bottom of the ascending channel. That's the 1/4 line, and this is half court or halfway through the field, right? If you can imagine this as some type of sports field, there you go. Or the goal line, essentially. So it's at the goal line right now. And now zoom back out. You have an over a year of price history that you can interpret. And then you can zoom in and see the culmination on the 5-minute chart. This is kind of a cool time to look at Bitcoin, where all the time frames, besides something like the monthly, and if you're looking at a 10-year time frame, this exact point is not making any significant strides towards that the largest time frames possible, the quarterly and the monthly charts. But the weekly charts, the mid macro down to the micro, it all is culminating on that exact line, which is the bottom of the rising channel that Bitcoin formed between 15,500 and 32K. And right now it's trying to say, am I going to be stuck in this yellow triangle that's under that rising channel, or am I getting back in the channel? There are two general options. You either get rejected from here, which has not happened, or you go up, typically up to the point of control. Sometimes I'll see price get rejected by the 1/4 line and then fall out, but usually that's not the way it goes. Usually if it hits the 1/4 line, it'll come back, find this the bottom as support, and then go up to the half-court line, and then go sideways for a bit. Now, that's all the reasons why I think this is among the best single ways. And again, I'm not saying there's only one way to look at Bitcoin, and nor do I suggest you try to look at Bitcoin only in one way. What I'm suggesting is this is one cool way to look at Bitcoin price. All right. Now, the other part of the video is how I said, I mentioned that we're going to see how I did on the specifically. So just going above it on a 1 hour wick doesn't count. You got to go above it on micro time frames, come back and use that support, just like what happened over here. What we talked about there. See how that used that support? Same type of scenario needs to happen here, and then you can say it's 51% or more probable that Bitcoin's getting ready to go closer to 40K. A lot closer to 40K. It becomes probable there, because that's a 65-day line, and that means on a daily scale, if you want to zoom out. Well, actually, I don't want to show you because I'm leaving that for the community. I'll show you. It's going to be the third higher local high. All right, I'll show you what that is. So the third higher local high. So you have the 15.5 bottom. So that one line, and again, Bitcoin price mid-macro down to the micro culminated down to this line, and I was able to deduce this line, which was that the top of that micro range. So the line I was pointing at in that video, this is represented by this white dotted line here. Totally different type of chart, but it's the same exact level. It's 29,100. If you want me to drag a price down to it, you can see it right there. See? Okay, boom, 29.1. And that third higher high is from the 15.5 low. You have one higher high, two higher high, a lot of 200 days of sideways, and third higher high. Is it technically the fourth higher high? Yeah, but I'm counting this as a double top, and it's 200 days of consolidation. So if you go from here, to where it broke out at 29.1, that's 220 days. So I'm counting that all the 31.8 high and the 32K high, almost 32K high as a double. It's just a consolidation, and this would be the third. All right. So let me make myself small. So what I reference here is if it breaks that white line, 29.1, it'll be the first local high, second lower high, first higher high, second higher high consolidation, third higher high in this time frame. And it's really special when you can go down to the exact 5-minute to understand this is what's happening on a yearly basis. The time frames were all essentially convoluted right in this one area. Now, here is the question. How well did that analysis do? Is this line actually where the money was made? And there are two ways to convert resistance, which was the top of a 65-day resistance line. There are two ways to convert to get over resistance. You go above it slightly, you push above it, and then come back down to test it as support, and then break the punch high, the original high that you punched through it with, similar to my reference of punch low that I didn't explain to new viewers earlier. But I think you're getting the point. That is the most likely way to get over resistance. And so for returning viewers and community members who happen to be watching this YouTube video, which isn't a bad idea, what's the second way? So let's say this green bar here is the resistance and prices down here. The second way is essentially, just remember like this, is essentially an ascending triangle, but the way I like to focus on it is specifically on lower time frames it's hard to pick the exact time frame. I say anywhere between the 5 minutes to 1 hour. As long as those time frames, or at least one of them, are maintaining higher lows under that resistance, and price starts getting squished in there, almost like this, like a triangle, right? Higher lows forms a triangle if you have a straight line above you. So if you're going up to a horizontal line with higher lows, that forms a triangle, right? Okay. Anyway, it's an ascending triangle, and on micro time frames, you have 2 attempts to get above. Like the 5 minute, you can go up and boom, fall down, break the trend, and then do higher lows again, but you have to get above it on the second time. That's just how Bitcoin price moves. And I might be the only analyst on YouTube who's ever said that statement, or even thought of that statement, really. Because there are a lot of people who probably thought about that and had that thought, but aren't YouTubers. Right? I'm not claiming I'm the only person in the world, but on YouTube, I probably am the only person. That is how Bitcoin moves. And new viewers, that's where you hit like and subscribe and hit the bell for all alerts, because you're going to see a lot of stuff that you won't get anywhere else. All right, so how did my analysis do? Was this line actually where it was at? Let's try to get rid of the yellow for a sec. I don't know if I like this yellowness. There we go. All right. So we're in the yellow triangle, and price on a 3 minute wick. And remember in that video, I said not on a wick. Wicks don't count. And so what happened? On a 5 minute, so this is a 3 minute chart, only one candle opened and closed above that, which means it's a 5 minute wick. So a 5 minute wick went above 29.1 and fell straight back down, recovered the whole pump. But it maintained higher lows after that. Look, went sideways for how long after it made that move? Then it just decided to go sideways for 3 days. All right. So how did this one do it? It went up. So I actually haven't looked at this yet, because I already know that there are only 2 general ways to get above a resistance, which I already knew this was a resistance point. And if you didn't hear anybody else talking about 29.1, then I mean, here's why I was. So it came up to it after wicking above this exact line. Second attempt wicked up to it, landed an aggressive higher low in the micro time frames, got above, came back down, came within 46. It came within $43 or 0.15%, 0.14% of touching that perfectly on the micro time frames to use as support. You get a little bit above it, come back to use it as support, and then go up. That's how it worked. It's the most classical way to get above a resistance. It's kind of interesting how it poked through once on a very aggressive wick back here on a 5 minute wick to poke it once. And then the second time knocking at the door, or that white line, is 3 days later. I'm on the micro time frames. I'm on 3 minute chart. Then it came to knock on that door again, 29.1, stuck a higher low, got above, came back to take it out. And then the party really started when it took out the punch high. So one thing I could have mentioned, and my returning viewers know this, is once you get above a resistance, you come back to test it, things start cooking after you take out the punch high. It's the same for breaking down below. And this is new viewers. This is also why you would want to hit the bell for all alerts if you haven't quite yet. Same thing happens if you break down below resistance or below support. You do a punch low, you try to recover, and Bitcoin price or crypto price really starts moving faster to the downside once you take out the punch low. So here it had a punch high, came back down to find support, and when it took out the punch high is when it got really aggressive. And I already know, so community members, you know I talk about this all the time. It's just how Bitcoin price moves. And once again, it did it exactly, and it moved almost perfectly within 0.14% of being a perfect support. And from my community videos and the very last YouTube video, I mentioned this is the line and described it will go above it slightly, come back to use that as support, and then go up, and I would be going long because Bitcoin, at that exact point, if you can get above it and use it as support, that is the exact probability point where it becomes more than 51% likely, more than 50% likely that Bitcoin will be going up close to monodirectionally, therefore taking Bitcoin price closer to 40K. And leave a comment. let me know how I did. I hope you enjoyed this video. New viewers, let me know if you decided to subscribe or not, and just give me your comments. Let me know if you, and returning viewers, if you could leave a comment about what frequency with which you want me to do YouTube videos. I'm trying to figure out the frequency. Since we're not in a bull market, we're not talking about sexy altcoins, every day. I'm not going to make 5 days a week. But let me know with which frequency you would like to see the crypto videos coming out, and we'll see you on the flip side. Later. You just got Timified Worldwide. Peace.